All right, welcome back to another episode of Knicks Morning Coffee Recap. All right, we're going to just jump right into last night's game against the Boston Celtics. And we got to tell you, it lived up to everything that a Knicks-Celtics playoff game was supposed to be. And I think the Knicks shocked the world by winning this game last night, 108 to 105 in overtime. I think a lot of us Knicks fans, we believe in the series for the Knicks. I don't think anybody really can say we believe that we would steal game one. And if there was ever a situation where the NBA throws out a steal, well, this is the exact definition of a steal because we definitely stole that game. And if you look at the quarters, the first quarter was 25-26 in favor of Boston. But it was that second quarter, they jumped out on us 35-20. And a lot of that, too, I was looking at it, it was self-inflicted stuff, by the Knicks. Turnovers, unforced turnovers, missing easy open threes. That was ours. And part of that chess match of going back and forth, we have to make the routine shots, right? And then that second quarter, we didn't do that. And what I did like, though, was that when they went to some crazy hack of Mitch, I thought that was insane that early in the game. But I did like the fact that shows how much respect they have for us. One time Brunson had almost a clear path to the basket, and they just grabbed up Mitch, and the whole team pointed at Mitch to the ref. And I was just like, wow, like they showing us that much respect, really, this early in the game. So whatever their game plan is, it was probably designed not to let, Brunson get off. The third quarter was a great quarter for us coming out. Historically, we don't always do that, but we jumped on them 30-23. And then, of course, that fourth quarter, 25-16, should have sealed the deal. We were down 20, and we got back in it. And then in overtime, we had a chance to win in overtime, before overtime, rather, in regulation. But then 8-5 in overtime. We know that Brunson just took over, but we'll just run down the stats right quick because, they had a balanced attack, but they were missing a key piece that wasn't, able to perform. So that was, Brown and Tatum, 23 points each. Porzingis gave them a donut, 0. Went out the game with an injury. Don't really know what that injury is or how it's going to affect his, availability the rest of the series. White and Holiday, they put up decent numbers, 19 and 16 respectively, but, that's what they do. Horford gave him 7, Pritchard gave him 13, and then pretty much Cormit and Hauser really was nothing there. But on our side, we got 29 from Brunson and Anunoby. We say, too, and what I felt was that between Anunoby and Bridges, one of us has to be that third wheel. Now, surprisingly enough, I felt, and I still feel that way for the series. For us to win, Towns has to be Superman. Now, Towns gave us 14 points last night. He did come alive towards the end to make his presence felt, but we're going to definitely need that the whole game. I don't think they had anybody out there that could guard Towns. He has to get out of his own funk. The team has to help him, but he has to do it. He has to mentally put himself in the game as a beast because they don't have a guy that can guard him, especially when they were getting their bigs in foul trouble as he was last night. It should have even been easier for him after Porzingis went to the bench. Bridges only gave us 8. Now, that he got to stay in the teams, even though the assignments that he has to do on the offense, on the defensive end of the board, he's got to give us more. So that what he did and what Cat did, that's not going to be acceptable in the long haul. The hero ball is not always going to be there for JB. So those other guys are going to really have to step up and do their part. And that's just what it is. When it's a total team effort, everybody got to do their part. Now, Deuce did chip in 11 points, which is expected. Mitch only had 3. I would suspect as the series goes on, he's probably going to average somewhere between 6 and 9. And I would love to see more putbacks from him. And I wish we would just incorporate it, the pick and roll with him. Like that's easy buckets for us. And then of course Payne and Precious, they didn't give us any points. But again, when Payne was in, he wasn't his regular self last night. He wasn't his regular energetic Energizer Bunny. And we also going to need that from him going forward. Now, one of my biggest keys to the game last night was we're not going to stop them from shooting threes, but we have to make it difficult to try to limit their threes. And then that's what we did last night. Surprisingly enough, they shot horrible from the 3-point line. They were like 15 of 60. And I mean, literally. And that's terrible. But it was, I don't know, that's really quite a credit to our defense. But we have to be able to rotate and get up in there and make it uncomfortable for them to be able to hit those threes. And it seemed like last night we was able to do that. Now, part of that could have been they were off. The other part is that Porzingis didn't give them anything. He's usually a Nick killer for us on that 3-point line. So the guys was working in our favor, but still they put up 63s. So if you put up 63s and you only hit like 15 of them, then that means something is either going wrong with you or something is going right with us. And then we'll take it because they actually out-rebounded us last night, which was surprising also to me because we had our bigs out there, several times together. But that's something else that we're going to have to work on. They're known to attack the boards the same way we do. It's not surprisingly to be out-rebounded, but I think they got us by a little bit of a margin. The gap got to be closed. But the Knicks hung in there last night after being down 20. It looked like they could have folded and walk away. And then lo and behold, here comes Captain Crunch time. Jalen Brunson just had refused to give up. And then that just started to matriculate into the other players, and OG just decided, you know what? I'm a part of this too. And then they just went to work. And I tell you, when they went to work, they went to work. Like lunch pail type of a job. I got to give Brunson a lot of credit. And I also got to give it to Anunoby because you have to have somebody by your side when they're doing it because they just can't collapse on one person. But he showed why he got the award. I didn't even care that he really got the award of clutch player because there were a lot of clutch players in the NBA this year. So I don't really know who really stood out in that, but we'll take it. And he showed why last night he was given that award because he put us on his back and we just rode him. We just rode him to victory. And I love the fact that the guys started to hang in there. And then even the way they were moving around the court when Brunson was making his move, we still weren't stagnant. So that also was making it harder for the Celtics to play him. And he got the shots that he wanted, and he hit the big buckets that he needed to hit. And that's what superstars do. That's why they get the money. This is why we love them. So, we went up 1-0. We stole that game. I don't care what nobody say. We was not supposed to go in there and win game one. Although I strongly believe that we can take the series. Now, the flip side to look ahead is that they get that game back and we go home and at least split. Okay, we can at least split and put the pressure on them for game 5. That has us sitting real pretty because now we know that we can win in Boston. All that regular season stuff sometimes goes out the window because tendencies change, people get tight. The situation, the stage get bigger. And yesterday we showed up. We showed up in the beginning of the game. We fell off a little bit, and we came back in the end. And that's all we can really ask for is that the Knicks, y'all, play ball. This is why we went out and got that team. This team was assembled primarily to beat the Boston Celtics. And we said that our defensive wings was going to be the catalyst to us beating the Boston Celtics. And last night, something now got to give too. And it's the playoffs. Them heavy minutes. Bridges played like 51 minutes with the overtime, and we had several guys with like 43 to 45 minutes, and they had heavy minutes on their side also, but something's going to have to give because we got guys on our bench that can spell people, and we got to be able to use that, especially in our front court. We can't ride them big men like that. They're not guards. They're going to break down, and they're going to break down when you need it most. But for right now, the early point of this series, everybody's holding up, everybody's healthy, everybody's playing ball. But, Tibbs, come on, trust these guys. Come on, you got Tucker sitting over there who could probably give you a couple minutes. A veteran guy that would know how to navigate in this type of a game and in this type of an atmosphere. And we just can't let it get away for those type of reasons. Now, I want us to go into game 2 feeling good about ourselves, but I want us to stay hungry. And I also want to stay with the same keys to the game. Now, those senseless turnovers, that we had, those unforced turnovers, they got to clean that up. Those are mental things, and that's not something the coach can help you with. That's you. All the coach could do in the old days is that they would pull you out the game. make you sit down and think about it. But Tibbs doesn't do that. He just yells and, yell at you, and then you try to make it better the next time. But I think all kudos goes to the Knicks. They went out and did their thing. They made everybody proud. They made the city proud. And no matter what nobody else say, we in this whole series for the long haul. And I know that it's a curse sometimes to win game one and steal it, because then the other team just comes back hungry and then take the next four. But I don't see that happening no way, no shape or form. We've shown that we can get down and then get back up. And we got knocked down. When they went up 20, it didn't even make sense that they went up 20. But, we persevered. We stayed hungry. We stayed on the course, and this is what we did. And, if you think somebody else also needed to step up, or what led to the victory or led to the downfall, in that second quarter, then let me know. But the Knicks is for real. They for real. I don't care what nobody else say. Like, these people, even if they're not on the bandwagon, you gotta respect our hustle. You can push us around, but only for so long, and then we coming back strong. And Tibbs, whatever he said to them, it worked, because Brunson, he believed. Only takes one person to believe, and the rest will follow. All right, so let's just pray that Towns gets out of his funk. Let's pray that we can also get Mitch more involved when he's out there with Towns, and not just be a little decoy. And then I like to see Precious Achiuwa get some more minutes also. All right, so tomorrow night will be game 2. I'll see you there next morning. All right, let's go Knicks.